It is said that deep beneath the waves, where the light of the sun has never touched, there lies a kingdom of stone and salt, a city swallowed by time, lost to memory and earth, a place where only silence and the murmur of the sea remain to speak of its grandeur. The journey begins with a simple question. What was lost beneath the waves? The morning mist clings to the sea, an ethereal blanket over the water. There is a quiet magic here, a sense of stillness that pulls the breath from your chest. A single ship glides over the surface, its sails dark against the pale sky. Its wake, a soft ripple on the water's surface, stretches outward, disappearing into the horizon. The world is endless here, the sea, vast and infinite. There is a whisper in the salt air, a murmur that speaks of a distant time, when the waves did not hide the secrets they carry. The ship moves silently, as though not disturbing the water beneath it, and as it glides through the calm expanse, the question lingers in the air. What was lost beneath these waves? There is a place, hidden far beneath the quiet surface of the Mediterranean, where the earth has swallowed an ancient city, long forgotten. The city of Thonis Heracleion, a kingdom that existed once, in the shadow of the gods, where temples rose from the earth, and the pulse of life was held within the stone walls. The name itself has faded, a whisper in the wind, its syllables caught between myth and history. The journey is not one of discovery, no, it is one of remembering. The city does not want to be found, yet it calls to us from the depths, a distant echo, like the murmuring of forgotten voices. As the ship moves further across the water, the scene begins to shift. The fog thickens, and the sea, once calm and infinite, takes on a new, darker quality. Beneath the surface, the world is still. There, the lost kingdom waits, its crumbled temples resting on the ocean floor, veiled by the weight of the water. Beneath the silence, where no sound can reach, the ruins remain, their stones worn by time, their carvings half faded, as though they were never meant to be seen again. The ruins of Thonis Heracleion emerge slowly, like a dream half remembered, at the edges of perception. The water is heavy, thick with the weight of years, but as we descend deeper, the city begins to take shape. The once grand columns, now slick with algae and salt, rise from the ocean floor, their tips lost in the depths. Statues, their faces worn smooth by centuries of the sea's touch, stand silent, their eyes turned forever toward the horizon, where they once gazed upon the bustling life of the city, its streets filled with trade, its temples alive with the worship of gods long since forgotten. Each step we take, we hear the faintest sound, an echo that rises from the depths, soft as a breath, delicate as the ripple of water over stone. It is said that the city's final moments were marked by a great storm, a celestial rage that brought the city low and drowned it in darkness. But was it the gods who cast it into the sea, or something more ancient, more mysterious? Whispers tell us that the city's great temples, built to honor the gods of Egypt, were perhaps not just monuments of stone, but vessels holding the very essence of the gods themselves. What was lost, and why? The soft motion of the sea carries with it fragments of stories, of a kingdom that once stood at the crossroads of ancient civilizations, a city where Egyptian, Greek, and Phoenician influences wove together into a tapestry of power and mystery. It is said that the waters themselves hold these fragments, scattered like stars across the ocean's depths. Each temple, each artifact, uncovered from the sand, tells a story half told, half forgotten. We drift further, deeper, into the forgotten city. The sea here feels sacred, ancient, as though it has long guarded the secrets of this sunken kingdom. The temples are half submerged, their stones crumbling like old parchment, yellowed and brittle. In the stillness of the depths, the very air feels thick with the weight of a long-held breath, as though the city itself has been waiting to be remembered. The silence is profound. It is as though time itself has forgotten to move in this place. The sea's surface shimmers faintly, a whisper of light from above, but down here, beneath the shadow of the deep, there is only quiet, a profound, sacred silence. It is here, amidst the ruins, that we catch glimpses of what was once, fragments of statues, their eyes hollow but filled with a deep, unspoken knowledge, broken vessels, their intricate designs still visible beneath the layers of salt and time, and the faintest outline of a grand temple, its columns half crushed beneath the weight of the ocean, its entrance still open, as though it waits for a procession that will never come. But it is not just the city that stirs the imagination. There are the voices, too, the faintest echo, a murmur that rises from the depths, like a memory too distant to fully recall. Some say that the city's silence is not merely the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper, something ancient, that cannot be put into words. The lost gods of Thonis Heracleon, were they truly forgotten? Or do they still watch from the depths, waiting for those who dare to listen to their stories once more? As the journey continues, the light from above dims, and the water grows colder. The shadows deepen, curling around the columns and statues, until they seem to disappear into the very fabric of the sea. We linger here, suspended in the stillness, where time seems to slip away. The city is gone, lost beneath the waves, its secrets swallowed by the ocean. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the city was a gift, a treasure of ancient knowledge, given only to those who could hear the silent echo of its voice. And yet, even in its destruction, the kingdom remains not in the form of a city of stone, but as a memory, a half-formed vision, waiting for the right moment to be remembered. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. As we rise, leaving the submerged kingdom behind, there is a deep sense of awe, of reverence for what once was. The water closes over the ruins once again, and the sea, like an ancient guardian, cradles the forgotten kingdom in its depths, keeping its secrets, preserving its story, until the time comes once more when the earth remembers, and the kingdom may be reborn, if only for a moment, if only in the quiet depths of our dreams. The journey ends in the shadow of the deep, where questions remain unanswered. Only the ancient, unseen forces know the truth, and perhaps that is the way it was always meant to be. The kingdom beneath the waves sleeps on, a mystery lost to time, whispered only by the sea itself. Beneath the silence of the vast, endless desert, there is a place that once breathed with life, a kingdom of traders and whispers, carved into the very bones of the earth. Now, only the wind remembers it, and the sands guard its secrets. Tonight, we walk the path not to find a city, but to seek something deeper, a fleeting memory of a people lost to time, a story too fragile to hold. The desert stretches out before us like an ancient dream, its sands endless, sweeping softly toward the horizon. The sun, once the desert's merciless keeper, has long set, leaving behind only a faint afterglow. Now, the cool of the night begins to settle like a shroud over the landscape. The stars above are sharp, countless points of light, scattered across the velvet sky like forgotten lanterns, their soft glow casting a calm, ethereal light on the world below. The silence is absolute, save for the whisper of the wind, which curls and eddies through the sand, as though it carries secrets of the ages within it. We stand at the edge of this vast emptiness, where the land seems to dissolve into the night, and time itself feels suspended. The air is thick with the scent of dust and ancient memories. Far below, beneath the undulating sands, a kingdom once flourished, its name whispered only by the wind. This kingdom, hidden beneath the earth's silent veil, was known to the world by another name, Petra. The city, built by the Nabateans, carved from the living rock, was once a marvel of the ancient world. Traders passed through its gates, carrying stories and treasures, while the shadows of kings and priests lingered in the winding, intricate streets. Yet now, like a forgotten song, the city lies buried, swallowed by the shifting desert. It is said that the oasis of Petra, bathed in the golden light of the sun, was once a place where life bloomed in the arid wilderness, where water flowed like a sacred gift, and where the earth itself was shaped into the stone halls of gods and merchants alike. But that was long ago. Now, only the desert remembers, its winds speaking the names of those who came before, carrying with them echoes of lives lived and lost. The sun has long left this place, but the moon's soft, silver light bathes the sands, the stone tombs, and the remains of the once great temples, casting long shadows that stretch like memories over the ruins. In the stillness of the night, as we step deeper into the sands, We are not merely seeking a lost city, but something more elusive, the fleeting nature of all things, the way the world swallows and reclaims the greatness of human endeavor. The journey is not one of discovery, but of reflection, a walk through a landscape where the present and the past blur, where memory itself fades and reforms, like the sand shifting beneath our feet. With each step, we move deeper into the desert, the cool breeze brushing across our skin, carrying the distant scent of earth and ancient stone. The landscape is empty, but the emptiness is not barren. It hums with the quiet presence of something once alive. In the distance, the jagged edges of the carved stone tombs begin to emerge, their forms softened by the moonlight. The stone faces, eroded by time, watch us silently, as though aware of our passing but unwilling to speak. These monuments, half buried by the sand, are the remnants of a time when people walked these paths, when voices filled the air and the sounds of commerce and life echoed through the city's narrow alleys. The silence that surrounds us is not an absence. It is the presence of something far older, far deeper. The wind sighs through the stone corridors, playing the air like a sacred flute. It is said that when the moon is high and the stars above burn bright, the wind carries with it the whispers of those who once dwelled in Petra. The merchants, their faces marked by the desert sun, once brought their wares from the farthest corners of the earth. Incense, spices, jewels, treasures traded along the ancient routes that passed through the kingdom. These traders, travelers like the desert wind itself, carried stories as much as they did goods, and those stories have, over time, become woven into the very fabric of the place. As the wind stirs the sands, we see the faint outlines of long-forgotten paths, the stone roads, still etched into the earth like veins, winding through the ruins. The moonlight dances on the edges of broken columns and cracked facades, each fragment a testament to a civilization that flourished for a time and then faded away. What stories did these traders tell as they gathered beneath the high walls of Petra's grand temples, surrounded by statues and carvings, their voices merging with the sound of distant winds? What wisdom was passed between them, beneath the gaze of the gods who once stood watch over this sacred place? We walk further, the soft shadows of lost knowledge stretching long before us, and with each step, the sense of mystery deepens. We are surrounded by the remains of a kingdom, but these are not the cold, lifeless ruins of forgotten kings. No, there is something here, something alive, caught between the realms of time and memory. The wind whispers its name, but we do not hear it fully. Perhaps it is not meant to be heard, or perhaps it is a story that can only be understood when we have learned to listen, when we have learned to wait, as the desert waits patient, eternal, and full of secrets. The pace of our journey slows as we near the heart of the ancient city. The stone structures grow larger, their silhouettes rising against the night sky. The grand temples, half crushed beneath the weight of the sands, their columns broken, seem to reach toward the heavens as though pleading for the return of something lost. These stones, once touched by the hands of kings, now lie still, forgotten, yet strangely eternal. The silence here is sacred, as if the very air holds its breath, waiting for the story to unfold. And still, we walk, each footstep a small echo in the vastness of the desert, the moonlight marking our path. There is no need for words here. The desert speaks in its own language, one of dust, silence, and shadow. The wind stirs again, carrying with it the memory of a distant past, a kingdom that rose from the earth, only to be swallowed by the sands. The Nabateans, those ancient traders of the desert, are long gone, but their kingdom lives on, not in the stones, but in the very soul of the desert, in the pulse of the wind, in the endless, shifting sands. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this oasis that once bloomed beneath the golden sun. Perhaps it was meant to fade away, as all things do, into the vast embrace of time. And yet, as we walk through this silent kingdom, we sense that it is still here, not as a city of stone, but as a memory, a whisper, a shadow that lingers in the night. As the night stretches on, the ruins fade into the distance, swallowed by the desert's endless expanse. The wind softens, and the moon's light begins to dim. The desert, with all its secrets and stories, returns to its eternal silence. The kingdom of Petra, veiled beneath the sands, rests once more in the quiet embrace of the earth. The story we sought to uncover lingers in the air, a soft presence, like the desert breeze that drifts through the ruins. The city, though lost, is not gone. It remains, suspended in time, waiting for those who are ready to listen. Some stories, it seems, are not meant to be told. They are meant to be felt, as we feel the cool breeze on our skin, the soft echo of the past whispering through the sand, beneath the moonlit sky. And perhaps, in the stillness, that is enough. Beneath a sky thick with secrets, there stands a place once sacred, where the stones seem to hum with an ancient pulse, as though they still remember the light that once cascaded through its gates. Here, in the quiet, forgotten corners of the world, a celestial event, long past, continues to linger in the silence. The stars above, and the stone below, are bound together in a story that begins with a single question. What happens when the heavens themselves fall to earth? The night stretches wide, an infinite expanse, blanketed in a deep, velvet sky. The moon glows faintly, casting a gentle, silver light over the barren landscape, and the wind carries the faintest hint of ancient dust, as though time itself had settled here, waiting. In the distance, hidden among the jagged ridges of forgotten hills, lies a temple, now abandoned, crumbled by the weight of centuries. The stone walls, once vibrant with life, are now etched with the slow, silent markings of decay, as though the very earth has sought to erase its memory. But the stone does not forget. The temple stands still, wrapped in an aura of ancient power, its very structure a monument to something greater, something beyond the reach of time. The air is thick with a quiet reverence, the kind that only those who have touched the sacred may understand. As we approach, the stone gates stand before us like a quiet invitation, their once intricate carvings now faded, half-formed. It is said that this was a place dedicated to Nana, the Sumerian god of the moon, a god whose light once illuminated the world, whose influence reached across the heavens and into the hearts of those who worshipped him. But it is not the worshippers who draw us in tonight, nor the god they revered. No, it is the stars, those eternal lights that burn above, casting their glow upon the earth. Beneath the pale light of the moon, we pause at the entrance to the temple, and for a moment, it is as though the air itself holds its breath. There is something sacred here, something that lingers in the quiet, in the stone, in the dust. It is said that once, a star fell from the heavens, its light cascading through the sacred gates of this temple, as though the universe itself had opened a door to the divine. The question rises, what was this star, and why did it fall? The temple, though no longer alive with the rituals of old, still breathes with the memory of its past. As we step deeper into the ruins, the silence grows thick, almost palpable. The air is cool, heavy with the weight of ages. We move quietly among the broken columns, the remnants of once grand structures, their outlines softened by the passage of time. The stones, though worn and cracked, seem to pulse with an energy all their own, as though the temple still holds something hidden, something sacred. In forgotten corners of the earth, the stories of gods and stars intertwine, and here, beneath the crumbling arches, those stories begin to surface once more. It is said that this temple was not just a place of worship, but a place of connection, a place where the earthly realm met the celestial. The Sumerians, wise in the ways of the stars, understood the heavens in a way that few do today. The alignment of the temple with the stars was no coincidence. The temple itself was built as a map, a guide to the night sky, pointing the way to a deeper understanding of the universe. Each stone, each carved symbol, was a reminder of the delicate dance between earth and sky, between the human spirit and the gods above. And then, the star fell. It is said that on that night, the heavens opened in a burst of light, and a star descended, its light spilling over the temple walls like molten gold. For a moment, the world was ablaze, and the people of the temple stood in awe, watching as the divine touched the earth. Some say that this star was a sign, a messenger sent by the gods to guide them, to offer a glimpse of something beyond this world. Others say that the star was a warning, a reminder that even the heavens are not eternal, that even the stars themselves may fall. As we wander deeper into the temple's heart, the crumbling walls seem to breathe, as if holding the memory of that moment, the light that once illuminated this sacred place, now reduced to shadows. The stars above, though still distant and cold, seem to pulse with the same rhythm that once guided the hands of the Sumerian priests. The connection between earth and sky, between the mortal and the divine, is still present here, though it is quiet now, as though waiting to be rediscovered. The wind stirs through the cracks in the stone, and we stop for a moment, listening. The sound is soft, like a breath, like a whisper from another time. The temple, long silent, speaks to us not in words, but in the silence between them. Each broken column, each faded carving, holds a fragment of the story, a piece of the puzzle that the stars once offered. The celestial omens that guided the lives of the Sumerians, the understanding of the heavens, and the belief that the gods walked among them, these things have not been lost. They linger in the air, in the very stone of the temple, waiting for the right moment to return. It is said that the priests who once walked these halls understood the stars in a way that no one can today. They watched the skies, tracing the movements of the planets, the constellations, the eclipses. They saw patterns in the heavens, patterns that spoke of divine will, of fate, of cycles that governed not just the world, but the very soul of the universe. The star that fell here was a part of those patterns, a sign of something greater, a link between the heavens and the earth. But what did it mean? What message did it carry? And why was it lost? The air grows still once more, and the only sound is the soft flutter of the wind through the cracks in the stone. We move among the ruins, stepping carefully over the broken stone and dust, our footsteps soft, reverent. The temple is no longer a place of worship, but it is still a place of mystery, a place where the veil between worlds is thin, where the stars and the earth meet, and where memory fades into silence. As we leave the temple behind, the night seems to grow deeper, the stars above more distant. The soft glow of the moon casts long shadows across the landscape, and the wind carries with it the faintest hint of something ancient, something forgotten. The temple, though silent now, still holds its story, buried deep within its stones, and perhaps that is enough. Perhaps some stories are meant to be felt, rather than understood. Perhaps it was never meant to be found again, this temple, this star, this fleeting connection between the earth and the heavens. Perhaps it is a secret, held in the dust and the stars, waiting for the right moment to return. We leave the ruins behind, the story of the star lingering in the quiet of the night. It is said that some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and perhaps, in the stillness of this sacred place, we have heard just enough. The stars above remain, timeless and eternal, watching over us as we drift into the quiet embrace of the night. And the temple, though forgotten by most, stands still, its memory a faint whisper in the breeze. The story, like the star, falls away into the silence, but it remains quietly waiting, beneath the stars, beneath the moon's soft glow. Beneath the still and ancient stones of Alexandria, a forgotten place lies buried, veiled in dust and silence. It is a place of wisdom once revered, now lost to time, where the weight of knowledge has crumbled into the wind. What secrets slumber within this hollow? What forgotten truths wait to be uncovered? The twilight falls softly, the edges of the sky darkening as the first stars blink into life, scattered across the heavens like quiet lanterns in the night. The city, ancient and dust-laden, rests in the shadows of its past. The air is thick with the scent of old stone and distant history, and the faintest stir of wind brushes through the streets, whispering of times long gone. In the fading light, the ruins of Alexandria stand still, broken columns reaching upward like fingers toward the sky, once a testament to human achievement, now crumbling into the earth beneath the weight of centuries. There, beneath the stones, beneath the veil of time, lies a secret, a lost library, its name carried only by the whispers of those who once walked these paths, who once searched for answers beneath the flickering flames of torches. It is said that this library, long swallowed by the dust of ages, once held the wisdom of the world, scrolls and manuscripts, written in languages no longer known, texts that held the secrets of the stars, the divine, and the very essence of human thought. But what wisdom lies hidden beneath the dust? What truths have been left behind, buried under the sands of time? And what stories remain untold? As the moon rises high above the ruins, casting its pale light upon the broken stones, we begin our journey through the crumbled gates, past the toppled statues, and into the heart of the ancient city. The wind sighs through the empty streets, carrying with it the quiet hum of memory, as though the city itself holds its breath, waiting for the story to unfold. The temple walls, the faded carvings, the ruins of forgotten homes, each stone here is a silent witness, holding its place in the grand tapestry of human history. The path leads us deeper into the heart of Alexandria, where the remains of the great library are said to lie beneath the earth. Though the library has long been lost, its presence lingers in the air, as if its very essence clings to the ruins. The walls, worn smooth by time, seem to hum softly, like the gentle vibration of an ancient song, lost to all but the deepest recesses of memory. It is said that within these walls, the scholars of old would gather, their voices rising in a quiet murmur as they transcribed the wisdom of the ages, the knowledge of the cosmos, the myths of the gods, the laws of the universe. And here, in the silence, the echoes of their thoughts still linger, like the faintest traces of a forgotten language. As we move further through the ruins, the city feels alive with the past. Each crumbling stone, each fragment of wall, holds a memory, a moment in time when the world was different, when the flames of knowledge burned bright in the heart of Alexandria. The ruins of the library are no longer a place of learning, but a place of mystery. The scrolls and books that once filled its halls have long since disintegrated, consumed by the ravages of fire, of time, of neglect. Yet, in the moonlight, the dust of those ancient scrolls stirs, rising softly from the ground, as if to reveal their secrets once more. Beneath the moon's gentle glow, the ruins take on a dreamlike quality. The columns, cracked and broken, stand like silent sentinels, their shadows stretching long across the floor. The silence is heavy, thick with the weight of lost knowledge, and as we pass through the corridors, there is a sense of awe, not just for the grandeur that once was, but for the fleeting nature of all things. The library, though reduced to rubble, still holds a quiet power. Whispers tell us that within these walls, fragments of the past remain, the forbidden knowledge of ancient sages, the teachings of philosophers who once sought to understand the mysteries of the world. Some believe that the very design of the library was a reflection of the cosmos itself, that the arrangement of the scrolls, the architecture of the space, was a map to the divine, a way to reach beyond the physical world, into the realm of the sacred. As we step deeper into the ruins, the faintest movement catches our eye. A gust of wind stirs the dust, sending it swirling through the broken columns. And then, in the quiet flutter of that wind, we hear it, the soft murmur of something ancient, something forgotten. The walls, now crumbled and covered in the marks of age, seem to whisper in languages long lost to history, their meaning unclear, but their presence undeniable. Here, in this sacred place, the past is not dead. It is merely waiting, like a dream, half remembered, to be rediscovered. The story of the library is one of reverence and loss, a story of what once was, and what will never be again. The scrolls that once filled these shelves held the thoughts of the greatest minds of the ancient world, the works of Homer, the philosophies of Plato, the teachings of Pythagoras, and the sacred texts of forgotten gods. Some say that the knowledge contained within the library was so vast, so profound, that it could have changed the course of history. But now, the words are lost, scattered like dust in the wind. What wisdom has time consumed? What stories have slipped from our grasp? And yet, in the moonlight, in the quiet solitude of the ruins, there is a sense that the stories have not disappeared. Perhaps they still live, hidden in the fragments, in the whispers of the walls. The dust rises in the soft breeze, swirling around us like the forgotten words of long-dead scholars. The faint outlines of carvings on the walls, once clear and precise, are now faint, obscured by the passage of time. But even in their fading, they speak of something greater, something that lies beyond the reach of human understanding. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this wisdom, this knowledge. Perhaps it was always meant to be a mystery, a puzzle too complex for even the greatest minds to unravel. As we stand in the ruins, the wind stirs once more, carrying with it the distant sound of silence. The moonlight fades behind the clouds, and the city, the library, the whispers, all seem to slip further into the past. We leave the ruins behind, the weight of what was lost hanging in the air. The dust settles once more on the stones, and the silence returns, thick and heavy, like the quiet of an ancient dream. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and perhaps the wisdom of the lost library is one of those voices. Perhaps it is not meant to be fully understood, perhaps it is meant to be felt, in the quiet moments between breaths, in the weight of the silence. The stories, the knowledge, the wisdom all rest in the dust, beneath the silence, waiting for the right moment to be remembered. And so, we leave Alexandria behind, the memory of its once great library lingering in our hearts, like the faintest trace of a forgotten dream. The city, the books, the scholars, the knowledge they have all slipped away into the dust. But even in their passing, they remain preserved in the ruins, in the whispers of the wind, in the quiet of the night. Perhaps, one day, someone will come seeking the lost library again, but until that time, its wisdom waits, buried beneath the silence, its story forever beyond reach. Beneath the ghostly glow of the aurora, where the northern winds sigh through the endless skies, there stands a circle of stones, worn and ancient, forgotten by time yet still standing firm. These stones, etched with the wisdom of the ancients, whisper of long-lost rites, of a civilization that reached for the heavens and understood the rhythms of the earth. What was their purpose? What mysteries did they leave behind, buried beneath the cold northern winds? The night has fallen silent, and beneath the pale glow of the northern lights, the world seems to pause, holding its breath. A quiet reverence fills the air, and the land stretches wide, untouched by the hands of men. In the farthest reaches of the world, where the sky seems to meet the earth in a soft, endless arc, there stands a circle of stones, the ring of Brodgar. Its age is impossible to fathom, yet its presence is undeniable. These stones, worn by the relentless touch of time and the caress of the wind, stand as silent sentinels in a place where the very fabric of history feels woven into the land. The air is crisp, the cold of the northern winds brushing against the skin, and the light from the aurora dances across the sky, painting the heavens with hues of green, violet, and gold. The glow seems otherworldly, ethereal, and it bathes the stones in a soft, sacred light, as though the sky itself is aware of the ancient monument below. These stones, rising from the earth, seem to pulse with a forgotten energy, as if the land itself breathes with the memory of those who placed them here long ago. It is said that the Ring of Brodgar, located on the Orkney Islands, was once a place of great significance, a sacred site where the earth and sky converged, where rituals were performed beneath the ever-watchful eyes of the stars. But now, as the aurora swirls above and the wind whispers through the stones, it stands in solitude, its purpose lost to the ages. What was the reason for this circle? What knowledge did those who erected these stones carry with them? What truths did they understand? Truths that have slipped through the fingers of history like grains of sand. As we step closer, the stones seem to grow taller, more imposing, their ancient faces weathered by the years, but still resolute, still standing. The wind moves through the open space, brushing softly against the weathered stone, as if to stir the spirits of the past, to wake the memories of those who once walked here. We move through the stone circle, feeling the pull of something deeper, something beyond the stones themselves, an invisible connection between the earth beneath our feet and the stars above our heads. The stones, though silent, seem to speak, not in words, but in a language older than time itself. Their shapes, their placement, their silent stillness, all are the vessels of ancient knowledge. The emotional journey begins with curiosity, a desire to understand, to uncover the purpose of these stones. As we move among them, the questions grow. What did the ancients know? What drove them to shape the land in this way? to place these stones in a circle beneath the shifting northern sky. Some believe that the stones were aligned with celestial bodies, that they were used to mark the passage of time, to track the movements of the sun and the moon, to measure the shifting seasons. Perhaps the stones were not merely stones, but vessels of knowledge, markers of a forgotten civilization's understanding of the cosmos. As the wind picks up, it carries with it the scent of salt and earth, and the stones seem to hum, their energy vibrating through the air. They are not just relics of the past, they are living, breathing testaments to a time when the heavens were not distant and cold, but close and intimate, intertwined with the lives of those who walked the earth. The stones of Brodgar, it seems, were built not just for observation, but for communion, a way for humanity to reach out to the stars, to touch the divine, to align themselves with the eternal rhythms of the universe. The more we explore, the more we come to understand that these stones are not just a monument to the past, but a living connection to the cosmos. Each stone, weathered by time, is etched with symbols carvings that speak of the stars, of time, of cycles that govern the very nature of existence. The circles, the spirals, the angles, each marks a point of celestial significance, a clue to the understanding of a civilization that grasped the language of the heavens. The night deepens, and the aurora shifts above, casting its gentle light upon the stones, turning them into shadowed silhouettes, their forms stretching long across the land. The connection between earth and sky feels almost tangible, as though the very air between the stones is alive with ancient knowledge. We stand in the stillness, contemplating the ties between humanity and the cosmos, between the finite and the infinite. The wind stirs once more, soft and insistent, like the breath of a forgotten god, moving between the stones, carrying with it the whispers of a time long past. It is said that those who built the Ring of Brodgar understood the movements of the stars as no one does today. They watched the night sky with reverence, tracing the paths of the stars, the rise and fall of the constellations, the turning of the seasons. To them, the stars were not distant and cold, but close companions, guides that illuminated the darkness and offered a sense of place within the vastness of the universe. The stones, perhaps, were built as a way to reach out to the stars, to create a bridge between the earth and the heavens, to mark the cycles of time and the celestial rhythms that govern all life. As we stand beneath the swirling lights of the aurora, it becomes clear that this circle of stones is more than just a structure. It is a symbol of humanity's deep connection to the cosmos, of our desire to understand the universe, to align ourselves with the sacred order of things. The ancients who built this place understood that everything in the universe is connected, that the earth, the sky, the stars, and all life are part of a larger, eternal rhythm. The wind grows quiet now, and the aurora fades into the dark sky, leaving the stones bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. The silence is deep and profound, as though the land itself is reflecting on the questions we have posed. What truths did these ancient people understand that we have long forgotten? What did they know about the stars, about time, about the sacred cycles of the earth that we have lost? Perhaps they understood that the universe is not an external force, but a part of us, woven into the very fabric of our being. As we leave the stone circle behind, the questions linger in the air like the last breath of a forgotten dream. The stones remain, silent and eternal, their purpose now lost to the ages, yet still holding their quiet wisdom. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this ancient knowledge, this connection between the heavens and the earth. Perhaps it was always meant to remain a mystery, a reminder that there are truths beyond our reach, truths that only the earth and the stars can understand. And so, we leave the Ring of Brodgar, beneath the northern lights, the questions still echoing softly in our hearts. The stones stand in quiet solitude, waiting for the next traveler to come, to walk their sacred circle, to listen to the whispers of the wind, and perhaps, in time, to understand. Perhaps some truths are never meant to be found. Perhaps they are only meant to be felt, in the quiet moments between the stars and the earth, where memory fades, and the soul finds its place in the rhythm of the universe. In the shadow of the northernmost sky, beneath the shimmering light of the midnight sun, there exists a garden, veiled in time and mystery. A garden where the earth, unyielding and raw, breathes with life despite the harshness of its surroundings. Here, in this sacred place, nature whispers its ancient stories, stories of gods, of heroes, and of life's resilience. But how does life persist in such a land? The evening sky of Iceland holds a peculiar stillness. It is not the quiet of the night, for the sun does not sink beneath the horizon here. Instead, it circles slowly, never quite leaving the earth's embrace. The golden light of the midnight sun spills over the jagged landscape, casting long shadows across the ground, as though time itself hesitates in this frozen moment. Amidst the sweeping beauty of volcanic rock and ice, there is a place hidden, untouched by the rushing world, where life clings to the edges of possibility. This is the garden, not a garden of blooms and scents, but one of resilience, where nature's pulse continues, against all odds, to thrive. The wind stirs the cool air, carrying with it the scent of salt and earth. The land is barren in many places, and yet, here, there is a softness, a pulse of life that defies the cold, defies the silence that seems to envelop all things. This place, seemingly hidden from the world, is a reflection of nature's sacred rhythm, the eternal dance between life and death. The garden is small, tucked away among rocks that seem to rise like forgotten gods, their sharp edges softened only by the wild grasses that cling to life in the crevices. As we stand at the edge of the garden, the question emerges in the quiet stillness. How does life persist in the harshest of lands? The journey begins not with a grand answer, but with the quiet invitation to explore, to move closer, to look deeper. Here, life is not grand or ostentatious. It is soft, resilient, and secretive. Each step we take through this garden is a step into the sacred cycle of survival, a cycle written into the very fabric of this land. The journey through the garden is one of discovery. The land here tells a story, not through words, but through the breath of the wind, the whisper of leaves, and the soft rustle of plants that grow in the shadow of rock and ice. It is said that the ancient Icelandic sagas, those stories of gods and heroes, of love and betrayal, of life's fragile dance with death, were passed down beneath the midnight sun. The garden, too, is part of this living story, a place where the threads of myth and memory have been woven together for centuries. We wander deeper into the garden, the soil beneath our feet damp and rich with life. Here, beneath the vast sky, the rhythm of nature beats with a quiet intensity. The wind sweeps through the branches of hardy trees, their leaves trembling with the memory of seasons past, their roots holding tightly to the land. The stone and ice that surround us seem to hum with the stories of the land's first inhabitants, the gods, the sages, the warriors who once walked these very paths. Some believe that the garden is a place where the old stories live, where the gods still whisper in the wind and the earth holds the memory of those who have come before. Each step through this sacred space is a reminder of the ancient cycles of nature, the rhythm of life and death, the endless ebb and flow of the seasons. The garden blooms, but in quiet intervals, in moments of defiance against the cold, in delicate bursts of life that seem to be a response to the harshness of the world around it. The delicate petals of flowers, the green shoots pushing up through the earth, they are not merely plants, but symbols of survival. In forgotten corners of the earth, life takes root in the most unexpected places, and the garden stands as a testament to nature's resilience, to its ability to endure even the most inhospitable conditions. As we move deeper, we begin to see the connections between the garden and the world beyond. The land here is not an island of beauty untouched by time, but a place where nature's cycles are intertwined with the pulse of the earth itself. The wind, which blows across the jagged cliffs, speaks not only of the garden's secrets, but of the world that birthed it. The ancient knowledge of survival, of how to live with the land, to work with the rhythms of the seasons, to honor the cycles of life and death, has been passed down through the generations, whispered through the wind, carried in the breath of the land itself. The garden is a reflection of that sacred knowledge, a place where time feels slow, almost suspended, like the light of the midnight sun. The earth, hardened by volcanic rock, softens in the gentle hands of nature's cycles. The ice, which seems to dominate the land, is softened by the tender embrace of the garden's blooms, and together they form an unspoken harmony. Here, we begin to understand that the garden is not merely a physical space, but a place where life and death exist in quiet balance, where one cannot exist without the other. The ancient gods of the sagas, the heroes who battled on the cold plains, and the spirits of the land all converge here in the garden, in the silent dance between creation and decay. The symbols of the garden are not always obvious. They are not carved into stone or etched into ancient scrolls. They live in the small moments, in the wind that carries the scent of the sea, in the delicate green of the moss that clings to stone, in the steady pulse of the earth beneath our feet. Every living thing here speaks of survival, of quiet endurance, of the eternal rhythm of nature that knows no end. The garden is not a place to conquer, but a place to respect, to listen, to feel. It is not meant to be understood with the mind, but with the heart. As the sun finally dips below the horizon, the garden remains bathed in the soft glow of twilight. The earth hums gently beneath the feet, and the wind carries with it the sound of distant waves. The garden, though small, though simple, feels vast, like the entire world contained within it. The stories of the land, the stories of gods, of heroes, of life and death are here, whispered by the earth, carried by the wind, and seen in the quiet beauty of the garden's bloom. Perhaps it was never meant to be understood fully. This garden, this sacred place where life and death exist in quiet harmony. Perhaps it is a place meant to be felt, in the rhythm of each step, in the brush of the wind against the skin, in the tender touch of the earth beneath our feet. The stories of the ancient sagas, of the gods and heroes who once walked the land, may be lost to time, but the garden remains, a living reminder of the resilience of nature, of the quiet beauty of survival. We leave the garden with no clear answers, but with the sense that the questions themselves have always been enough. The land will continue to breathe, as it has for millennia, and the garden will remain, forever blooming, forever a testament to the eternal rhythm of life. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The garden, beneath the midnight sun, will wait for the next traveler, the next soul to step softly across its sacred soil. And in that stillness, in the quiet hum of nature's breath, the stories of the earth will live on, whispered through the wind and the ice, and held in the silence of the garden. High above the world, beyond the reach of ordinary time, there rises a mountain draped in mist and mystery, a mountain where the gods of the ancient Inca once walked, and where their whispers are said to still echo in the wind. What happened to these gods, and what secrets do the sacred stones of Mount Osangate still hold? The air is thin here, where the world seems to hold its breath, caught between the earth and the sky. The mountain rises before us like an ancient temple, veiled in clouds, its jagged peaks hidden behind a shroud of mist. The sun, pale and distant, casts long shadows over the rugged terrain, and the world below feels distant, forgotten, far from the hum of life, far from the pulse of civilization. This is the realm of the gods, where only the brave, or the desperate, dare to tread. It is said that those who seek the summit of Mount Osangate do so not just to climb a mountain, but to touch the very essence of the divine. The wind brushes against the skin, cold and sharp, whispering in an ancient tongue that only the mountain understands. It carries with it the faintest trace of a forgotten time, the time when the gods walked among men, when the Inca believed that their deities resided here, in the high caves of the mountains. The gods of the Inca were not distant or indifferent. They were deeply entwined with the land and its people, watching over them from the peaks of sacred mountains, guiding their hands, protecting their lives, and offering their wisdom through the rituals and offerings that echoed through the valleys below. What happened to these gods? What became of the celestial beings who once watched over the Inca, whose whispers are said to still be carried by the wind? The mountain speaks in riddles, its silence deeper than any words could express. And yet, it draws us upward, step by step, inviting us to trace the ancient paths that once led worshippers to the summit, to follow in their footsteps, to listen to the echoes of the past. The trail grows steeper as we ascend, and the mist becomes thicker, swirling around us like the breath of the mountain itself. The earth is firm beneath our feet, but there is a softness to the air, as though the very atmosphere carries the weight of history. The Inca, who journeyed to this sacred place, did so with reverence, for they believed that the gods resided here, hidden in the caves and crevices of the mountain, watching over the land they ruled. The journey was a pilgrimage, a sacred offering of the body and soul. For those who walked the path of Mount Osangate were not merely travelers, they were supplicants. As we move gently through the mist, we follow the ethereal trail left by those who have come before us. Fragments of their offerings are scattered along the path, small tokens of devotion, stone carvings, broken pottery, and traces of fire. These offerings, made with trembling hands, were meant to honor the gods and seek their favor, to invite the divine presence into the lives of those who sought to understand the mysteries of life and death, of time and space. It is said that the Inca believed the gods were not far from the world of men, but rather they dwelled in the sacred spaces, the caves, the stones, the peaks, places where the veil between the earthly realm and the divine was thin. The ritual was not just a matter of belief, but of connection. The gods, the Inca believed, could be touched through the landscape, through the mountains, the rivers, the forests, and the skies. The land was not just a place to live, but a living entity itself, intertwined with the sacred, with the divine, with the eternal. The very act of walking the sacred path, of ascending to the summit, was an offering, a gesture of gratitude, a plea for wisdom, a prayer for protection. As we reach a clearing, the clouds part momentarily, and for the first time, the full majesty of Mount Osangate is revealed. The peak looms ahead, sharp and unforgiving, its snow-capped summit glistening like a crown. The air is thin here, but it carries a deep, quiet hum, as though the mountain itself is alive, breathing. The stillness is profound, and the landscape stretches out before us, the valley below, shrouded in mist, the jagged rocks that mark the path of the gods, and the distant horizon where the sky seems to kiss the earth. The gods, whose presence once filled this space, are no longer visible, but their legacy lingers. We stand at the foot of the mountain, feeling the weight of their absence and their presence in the same breath. The silence of the mountain is deafening, yet it speaks in ways that cannot be heard with the ears. It is a silence filled with the stories of those who came here long before, of the sacred rituals performed beneath the open sky, beneath the watchful gaze of the gods. Whispers tell us that in the hidden caves of the mountain, the gods still linger, watching, listening, waiting. The connection between the gods and the land is palpable here, as though the stones, the soil, the air itself carries the imprint of the divine. The sacred spaces of the Inca were not places where the gods descended from the heavens. Rather, the gods existed within the earth itself, within the mountains and the caves, within the very breath of the wind. To the Inca, the gods were not abstract concepts or distant figures, but intimate presences, as close as the next breath, as close as the next step on the path. As we ascend higher, the land grows harsher. The cold bites at the skin, and the mist thickens once more, wrapping the world in a soft, white veil. The mountain, once a place of sacred connection, now seems distant, shrouded in mystery. The offerings we have left behind, the traces of our own pilgrimage, are carried away by the wind, as though the mountain itself seeks to cleanse the path of all those who come. Perhaps it is a reminder that no offering, no gesture, can hold the gods in place forever, that all things, even the divine, must fade into silence in their own time. And yet, even in the silence, there is something eternal here, a deep connection to the earth, to the mountain, to the gods who once dwelled here. The Inca believed that the mountain was not just a physical place, but a living entity, a spirit that existed beyond time. In the quiet of the summit, as the mist swirls around us, we feel the presence of the gods, not as figures from the past, but as echoes that still reverberate in the air, in the stones, in the breath of the wind. We stand at the summit of Mount Osangate, the silence thick with the weight of history. The mountain, though quiet now, still holds its secrets. The gods who once walked this land may have faded into myth, but their presence remains, woven into the very fabric of the earth. The rituals, the offerings, the prayers of those who came before, all of it is part of the mountain's story, part of the divine dance between the earth and the heavens. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this sacred place, this mountain where the gods once walked. Perhaps some things, like the gods themselves, are meant to remain shrouded in mystery, to fade into silence, leaving only their whispers behind. We descend, the wind still howling around us, the mountain fading into the mist behind us, but the silence, the sacred silence of the mountain, remains. It is a silence that speaks to those who listen, a silence that holds the echoes of the gods, waiting for those who will return, as they have for centuries, to seek the truth hidden beneath the peaks. Perhaps some truths are never meant to be found. Beyond the horizon, veiled in mist, there exists an island forgotten by most, its name and story lost in the tides of time. Here, where the whispers of the ocean speak of an empire that vanished without a trace, there lies a secret, a civilization once shrouded in mystery, its legacy swallowed by the waves. The sea stretches out before us, vast and endless, its surface shimmering with the fading light of dusk. The horizon is a faint line, where the sky meets the water in a soft embrace, a line that promises the unknown, a place where the world is not yet fully understood. The waves roll gently, rhythmically, like a whispered lullaby carried on the breath of the earth. Their movements soft and ancient. The air is thick with salt, cool and deep, as though the very essence of the sea is reaching out to pull us closer. There, just beyond the horizon, is an island so shrouded in mist that it seems to float between the realms of the seen and unseen. The stories of this island are few and scattered, half-formed, fragments of a forgotten tale. It is said that this was the home of the Sea People, an ancient civilization whose name still lingers on the lips of historians, though no record of their existence survives. Their empire, once flourishing on this very island, vanished as mysteriously as it arose, leaving only the echoes of its greatness in the whispers of the ocean. As we journey toward this island, the air grows heavier, the mist thickening, as though the island itself is reluctant to reveal its secrets. Each wave that laps at the shore seems to speak of something ancient, something lost. Some believe the Sea People were the architects of a great empire, their ships tracing the currents of the Mediterranean, their influence felt across distant shores. Others whisper that they were the children of the sea, their connection to the ocean so deep that they vanished into it when their time came, leaving nothing behind but the silence of forgotten history. The island stands before us now, its form slowly becoming clearer as we draw closer. Jagged cliffs rise from the water, their faces scarred by the passage of time. The land is barren and wild, with no signs of life other than the distant cry of seabirds and the soft rustling of the wind through the trees. The air smells of brine and earth, a scent that is both ancient and eternal. The island's edges are rough and unforgiving, as though the sea itself has claimed this land, shaping it with its relentless touch. We step onto the island, our feet sinking slightly into the soft sand, the ground warm beneath us despite the coolness of the air. The landscape is eerily quiet, as though the island holds its breath, waiting for something to be remembered. The trees that dot the landscape stand like sentinels, their branches twisting toward the sky, their leaves whispering in the wind. The remnants of an ancient civilization are scattered across the land, half buried in the sand, their outlines faint but still discernible. There are broken statues, worn smooth by the years, their faces eroded by the passage of time, their eyes now empty, but once filled with the wisdom of the Sea People. It is said that the Sea People built their homes from the stone of the island, carving their dwellings into the rock, creating a civilization that was both harmonious and hidden, one that flowed seamlessly between the land and the sea. Some believe that the island itself was sacred, that it was a place where the boundaries between the gods and the mortal realm were thin, a place where the Sea People communed with the divine forces of the ocean, calling upon the waves for guidance and protection. As we move through the ruins, the land feels alive with the weight of memory, with the quiet murmur of a lost history. The stones beneath our feet bear the markings of an ancient language, one that has long since faded from human understanding. The air hums faintly, as though the island itself remembers, as though it is holding onto the fragments of a past that was lost to the sea. The ocean, too, seems to hold its breath, its waves still and solemn as they kiss the shore, as though it is waiting for the stories of the sea people to be rediscovered, to be brought back from the depths of time. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the land, the last rays of light tinged with gold. The ruins glow softly in the fading light, their outlines sharp and clear against the deepening dusk. We wander through the stone structures, each one telling its own silent story, each one a witness to a civilization that thrived here long ago. The wind stirs the trees, the sound soft and ethereal, as though the island is whispering its secrets into the twilight. What happened to the sea people? What caused them to vanish so completely, leaving behind only these ruins, these fragments, these echoes of their existence? Some believe that the sea people were swallowed by the sea itself, their civilizations sinking beneath the waves, lost to time as the ocean claimed its due. Others say that the island was cursed, that the gods of the sea turned their backs on the people who had once worshipped them so devoutly, and that the sea people paid the price for their transgressions. Whispers tell us that the island holds the keys to the mystery, that the remnants of the civilization are buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered. As we stand at the edge of the island, looking out across the darkening sea, the last light of the sun fades, leaving behind only the soft glow of the moon. The ocean stretches out before us, vast and endless, its surface still and quiet, as though the sea itself is pondering the fate of the sea people. The wind has calmed, and the only sound that remains is the gentle lapping of the waves against the shore, the rhythm of the ocean's breath. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this lost civilization, this hidden empire beneath the waves. Perhaps the sea people were meant to remain a mystery, a whispered legend that dances just beyond the reach of human understanding. And yet, here we stand, surrounded by the soft remnants of their past, listening to the wind as it carries their story, a story that is not yet finished, a story that will remain suspended, just out of reach, forever a part of the island's silence. As the moon rises higher, the island is swallowed by the darkness, the ruins fading into the shadows. The sea returns to its eternal stillness, and the wind falls silent, as if the island itself has returned to slumber. The stories of the sea people will continue to echo on the breeze, carried across the ocean, as they have for centuries, their whispers fading into the distance, leaving only the soft murmur of the wind to carry their memory forward. The island's story remains a mystery, a legend, a soft murmur on the wind. It is a story that may never be fully told, a story that may never be understood, but it is a story that will live on, forever marked by the moon, forever carried by the sea. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. Beneath the canopy of stars, in the quiet embrace of an ancient jungle, there stands a monument to time, a clock that no longer ticks, its gears silent, its rhythm lost. It is said that this clock once measured the celestial cycles, tracking the movements of the stars and the heavens themselves. But then, one day, time seemed to slip beyond the reach of mortal hands. What happens when time itself is no longer in our grasp? The jungle breathes softly, its deep green shadows mingling with the golden light of the setting sun. The air is thick with the hum of life. Yet in this sacred space, there is a peculiar stillness, a quiet that permeates the heart of the earth itself. The ruins rise before us, covered in the embrace of creeping vines and moss, ancient stones worn smooth by the relentless passage of time. In the distance, a faint silhouette rises against the sky, the observatory of Uaxactun. Once, this place was alive with knowledge, with priests and scholars watching the skies, mapping the stars, their eyes turned toward the heavens. Now, the observatory is silent, its walls weathered by centuries of forgotten whispers. The clock, though no longer ticking, still stands as a monument to what once was a clock that was designed not to measure the passing of days, but to track the celestial cycles, to mark the rhythms of the cosmos. It is said that the Mayan priests who constructed this place understood the stars in ways that modern eyes can scarcely comprehend. They believed the heavens were alive, that each celestial movement held deep meaning for the earth below, for the lives of the people who lived beneath the stars. And so they built their observatories, their sacred clocks, to align themselves with the divine, to understand the flow of time, as it was dictated by the cosmos itself. As we approach the ruins, the silence deepens. The clock no longer turns. It is frozen in time, caught forever, in the moment of a single, eternal eclipse. Some believe that it was the passage of this eclipse, a celestial event that would never return, that caused time itself to halt, to slip beyond the reach of those who sought to measure it. The question rises, almost as a prayer: what happens when time itself slips beyond our reach? We step closer, moving between the crumbling stone pillars, each one worn by centuries of rain and sun, their edges softened by the passage of years. The observatory, though silent, feels alive with the presence of those who once lived here, their knowledge still lingering in the air, in the patterns of the stars above. The clock's gears, now long still, are etched into the stone, their intricate patterns telling a story that no one can fully decipher. The movements of the hands, frozen mid-rotation, speak of a moment long past, a moment when the universe and the earth were in perfect harmony, their cycles aligned with the ticking of this sacred clock. It is said that the Mayans believed time was not linear, but cyclical, a great wheel that turned in endless cycles, each one bringing with it new beginnings and endings. To them, the passage of time was not something to be feared, but something to be understood, something to be measured against the rhythm of the stars. The calendar they created, intricate and precise, tracked the movements of the heavens, marking the passage of days, months, and years in alignment with the celestial cycles. But the clock of Uaxactun was different. It was not just a measure of earthly time. It was a connection between the human realm and the divine, a reminder that time itself was a reflection of the cosmos. Yet, when the eclipse passed, when the moment of divine alignment arrived and passed, the clock stopped. Time, it seemed, had slipped away, leaving only the echoes of what once was. The priests, who had long understood the stars, found themselves adrift in the vastness of the cosmos, unable to decipher the meaning of the frozen moment. The celestial rhythm, once so clear, had become a mystery. The clock, once a symbol of order and understanding, now stood as a monument to the fragility of human knowledge, a reminder that even the most precise calculations of the stars cannot hold back the inevitable silence that comes with the passage of time. We walk through the ruins, tracing the steps of the ancient priests who once charted the heavens from this very spot. The wind stirs the trees, their branches swaying gently, as if to remind us that the rhythm of life continues, even in the face of the unknown. The air is cool here, the scent of earth and stone mingling with the distant fragrance of jungle flowers. There is a feeling of reverence in the stillness, a sense that the land itself is holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter in the story of time. The sacred silence of this place is not empty. It is filled with the weight of history, with the knowledge of the stars, with the quiet hum of the cosmos that still lingers in the air, just beyond our reach. As we move deeper into the observatory, the ruins unfold before us, the walls etched with the markings of an ancient language, the symbols of the gods, the movements of the stars. The patterns, though faded and worn, still speak of a time when the universe was understood, when the cycles of the heavens were as familiar as the turning of the seasons. But now, these symbols are no longer fully understood. The knowledge of the priests, the sacred teachings passed down through generations, has faded into the mists of time, lost to the world outside this sacred space. The clock, though still, continues to haunt the ruins. Its frozen gears are a reminder of the delicate balance between time and the divine, between the earthly and the celestial. It is as though the passage of the eclipse itself was a moment too sacred to be measured, too fleeting to be understood by human hands. The clock may no longer tick, but it still marks the passage of time in a different way, a reminder that some things are not meant to be measured, that some moments are beyond human comprehension. As the last light of the day fades, the observatory is bathed in the soft glow of twilight. The jungle, which had been alive with the sounds of birds and wind, now falls silent, as though the earth itself is listening. The stars begin to appear in the sky, one by one, their light faint but steady, like ancient beacons in the dark. The clock, though it no longer moves, remains, an enduring symbol of the connection between time and the divine. The moment of the eclipse may have passed, but its silence lingers in the air, a mystery that will never be fully understood. Perhaps it was never meant to be understood, this moment, this celestial alignment, this frozen clock. Perhaps it was always meant to slip beyond the reach of human hands, a reminder that time, like the stars, is both eternal and fleeting. The Mayans, with their intricate understanding of the cosmos, knew that the universe is a vast and mysterious place, filled with cycles and rhythms that cannot always be charted, that cannot always be controlled. And so, as the last rays of the sun disappear beyond the horizon, we stand in the stillness of the observatory, surrounded by the ruins of a forgotten time. The wind sighs through the trees, and the stars begin to hum softly overhead. The clock, still frozen, marks a moment that will never return. And in that silence, we are left with a question, one that echoes in the stillness of the night. What does it mean to live beyond time? The answer is lost, for now, to the stars. And perhaps, like the clock, it is not meant to be fully understood. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. Beneath the quiet whisper of the river, where time seems to still, there stands a bridge that once spanned the distance between two worlds, connecting civilizations across the waters of the Tigris. Now, this bridge is a monument to silence, its stones mossed over by centuries of forgotten passage. It is said that this bridge was not only a path between lands, but a symbol of connection, of communication between peoples, between gods, and between the past and the present. What truths, we wonder, did this bridge once carry? The sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows over the river, where the water flows in quiet reverence. Its surface is soft, reflecting the hues of dusk, deep blues and fading golds, like the last breath of a day that has passed into history. The air is warm, thick with the scent of earth and distant waters, yet there is a coolness beneath the surface, a stillness that clings to the land. The Tigris, wide and slow, stretches before us like an ancient artery, its waters carrying the echoes of millennia, whispers from distant times, long before the present world was born. At the river's edge, there stands a bridge, a stone monument, worn by the weight of ages, standing silent as the world continues to turn. The stones are moss-covered, weathered by the passage of time, and though they hold their form, the bridge no longer hums with the steps of travelers. It is as if the world has moved on, leaving this sacred passage to fade, its history fading into the quiet murmur of the river. We stand at the foot of the bridge, gazing up at the arching stones, feeling the pull of the past. This is no ordinary bridge. It was built by the ancient Persians, who, with their mastery of architecture and their deep understanding of the natural world, built not only for practicality, but for the sacred. Bridges, for them, were not simply structures of stone and mortar. They were symbols of connection, of a people's ties to the land, to each other, and to the divine. They were the means by which one world met another, where time and space collapsed into the shared path between two distant shores. It is said that this bridge was built not only to cross the Tigris, but to link two realms, two civilizations, whose hearts beat in rhythm with the same river, whose cultures were intertwined through the trade of goods, knowledge, and wisdom. What truths did this bridge once carry? What messages passed across its stones, whispered by the winds of the river, from one side to the other? We walk slowly across its silent path, each step a meditation on the lost world that this bridge once connected. The stones beneath our feet are cool, their texture worn smooth by time. As we move forward, the river below seems to beckon, its water moving with a quiet urgency, carrying the weight of history with every ripple. Below, the river reflects the fading light of the sky, its surface shimmering like the edges of a dream half remembered. It is here, beneath the arch of the bridge, that we are reminded of the sacredness of this place. The Persians, when they built this bridge, did not simply lay stones across the water. They created a conduit for the flow of life itself. Every step across this bridge was a step between worlds, a movement between past and present, between one culture and another, between the earth and the heavens. The bridge was not just a means to cross the river. It was a spiritual act, a movement between realms, between the sacred and the mundane. Some believe that bridges such as these were seen as the paths of the gods themselves, the celestial beings who crossed from one world to the next, walking between the visible and invisible, connecting the realms of man and the divine. It was a place where offerings were made, where prayers were whispered, where the land and the sky met. The bridge was a symbol of union between nations, between hearts, and between the mortal and the eternal. As we walk, the air grows heavier with the weight of memory. The stones, worn by countless footsteps, still carry the imprint of those who crossed this bridge centuries ago. Merchants, scholars, travelers, and priests, each one bearing their own hopes and fears, their own stories, as they crossed from one shore to the other. We are walking in the footsteps of those long past, tracing the path they once followed, feeling the same stone beneath our feet, the same breath of the river moving in rhythm with our own. The further we walk, the more the silence of the bridge deepens, wrapping around us like a sacred veil. The world beyond the bridge seems distant now, fading into the mist of the past. The river below, while still moving, is quiet, as though the passage of time itself has slowed, giving us a moment to reflect on the fragility of all things. The bridge, once a vibrant connection between lands, now stands alone, its purpose forgotten by most, its meaning eroded by the passage of centuries. Yet, even in its solitude, it retains a sense of sacredness, a reminder that even when a connection is lost, the traces of that connection linger, suspended in time, waiting to be remembered. We reach the center of the bridge, where the stones are smoothest, where the weight of history is felt most strongly. Here, suspended between two worlds, we pause. The river flows beneath us, its waters dark and silent now, as if listening to the thoughts we cannot put into words. The evening light is dimming, and the air grows cooler, but the stillness holds us in its grasp. In this quiet moment, we realize that the bridge is not just a structure of stone, it is a symbol of something deeper, the connection between the past and the present, between what was and what might have been. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this bridge. Perhaps it was meant to be a reminder that some connections, some bridges, are not meant to be crossed in a single lifetime. The story of the bridge, like the river below, flows through the land, tracing paths that may never be fully revealed, whispering secrets that are carried on the wind, on the currents of the water. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. As we stand at the center of the bridge, looking out across the river, the world around us fades into the quiet of the evening. The distant mountains, the soft rustling of leaves in the wind, the gentle current of the river, they all blend into a single, unified sound, a sound that seems to carry with it the wisdom of the ages. The bridge, though silent, speaks in the language of the earth, the river, and the sky. It speaks of connection, of time, of the endless dance between worlds, between life and death, between memory and forgetting. And so, we leave the bridge behind, its stones still holding the echoes of those who crossed it long ago. The river continues its journey, its waters flowing silently into the night. As the last light of day fades beyond the horizon, the bridge stands alone now, its silence deeper than before, but still, it holds its place, marked by the moon, standing as a testament to the sacred connections that once passed across its stones. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. The silent bridge across the world continues to stand, its purpose known only to the river and the stars, and perhaps that is enough. Beneath the heavy canopy of the jungle, there lies a city silent, but not still. Its towering pyramids, once alive with the footsteps of a forgotten people, now stand as sentinels in the green heart of the earth. The wind stirs the leaves, carrying with it a quiet hum, a murmur from the past. In this place, where time seems to have both paused and endured, the stones still speak, if only we know how to listen. The jungle surrounds us like a living breath. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of earth and growing things, moist and warm beneath the canopy that stretches high above us. Every leaf, every branch, trembles in the rhythm of the wind, as if the jungle itself is whispering secrets into the twilight. Through the dense green, the stones begin to emerge, ancient, forgotten stones, rising from the earth like the bones of a long-dead giant, their shapes worn but still imposing. These are the ruins of El Mirador, the sacred city of the Maya, hidden deep in the jungle, where the pulse of the earth beats in silent reverence. The journey begins here, in the quiet hum of the jungle, with the soft echo of footsteps on stone, where the city of El Mirador once thrived. It is said that this was a city of grandeur, of great power and wisdom, a place where the Maya reached toward the heavens and the earth with equal reverence. The towering pyramids, still standing after millennia of rain and wind, speak of a time long past, but they are not dead. They are silent, but not still. The stones still breathe, still remember. Their presence calls to us from beneath the moss, beneath the creeping vines, urging us to listen to the echoes that linger in the air. The jungle has claimed this place, but it has not erased it. The ruins stand like silent guardians, watching over the land that once echoed with the sounds of prayers and rituals, of kings and priests, of gods and the people who believed in them. As we step deeper into the heart of this forgotten city, the air grows thick with the weight of history, with the memory of a civilization that left behind not just stone and mortar, but a sacred invitation to the land itself. We move slowly through the city, walking in the shadow of the great pyramids. Their towering forms rise above us, stark against the green sky, like the fingers of the earth reaching upward toward the stars. These pyramids, with their stepped platforms and worn faces, were not just architectural feats, they were symbols, sacred shapes, designed to reflect the cycles of the cosmos. The Maya, with their deep understanding of the stars, the sun, and the moon, built these pyramids not simply as monuments, but as gateways, passages between the earth and the heavens. Each step on the stone pathways feels like a step through time. The streets of El Mirador, though cracked and broken, still carry the imprints of those who walked here long ago. Their footsteps have faded, but their presence lingers in the air, imprinted on the stones, in the silence of the jungle. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying with it the faintest echoes of rituals that once filled this space. Prayers, offerings, the voice of the priests calling to the gods above. The echoes are soft, fleeting, but they are there, like the pulse of the earth itself, beating in rhythm with the stars. It is said that the Maya believed the pyramids were not just places of worship, but places of power, sacred spaces, where the gods themselves could descend and commune with the people. These great structures, rising from the earth like mountains of stone, were aligned with the stars, the sun, and the moon. Their geometry, so precise, mirrored the movements of the cosmos. The Maya understood that the universe was a vast, interconnected web, and these pyramids were their way of reaching out to the divine, of connecting the human with the sacred. The stones, though worn, still hum with this ancient knowledge, still whisper the language of the heavens. As we wander deeper through the city, the silence grows, and yet the air feels thick with meaning. The jungle breathes around us, but the stones remain still, holding their secrets. Here, in the heart of El Mirador, the ruins speak not in words, but in symbols, symbols carved into the stone, worn smooth by time but still visible, faint traces of a forgotten language. These symbols, intricate and delicate, tell stories of the gods, of the celestial movements, of the rituals that once bound the people of this city to the stars above. Beneath the silence, we can almost feel the presence of the priests, who once stood in this very place, their voices rising in prayer, their hands lifted toward the heavens. The steps of the pyramids, their stones worn by centuries of feet, feel like the path between worlds, a path that once led to the divine, to the gods who watched over the Maya, who guided them with their celestial wisdom. The people of El Mirador understood that their lives were not separate from the stars, that their very existence was woven into the fabric of the cosmos. And so, they built their city, their pyramids, to reflect this sacred connection, to honor the gods who governed the heavens and the earth. The stones beneath our feet feel heavy with the weight of this understanding, with the memory of a civilization that saw itself as part of a greater cosmic order. The city, though abandoned, still holds the rhythm of the universe in its bones, in its stones. The wind stirs the trees, but the stones remain still, their silence speaking louder than any words could. The jungle may have reclaimed this space, but it has not erased the sacredness of this place, the echoes of those who once walked here. As the sun sinks lower in the sky, the shadows grow longer, and the soft light of the evening bathes the ruins in a golden glow. The jungle, which had been alive with sound, now falls silent, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for something. The air is cooler now, but the stillness lingers. We reach the base of the tallest pyramid, looking up at its towering form, its stones etched with the markings of the gods. This is the heart of the city, the center of the sacred geometry that once tied the earth to the heavens. We pause at the base, feeling the weight of the silence, the stillness that fills the space. Here, in the shadow of the pyramid, the world seems distant, far away. The jungle, the river, the stars, they are all part of the same sacred web, the same cosmic rhythm that once governed this land. The city of El Mirador, though lost to time, still holds its place in the universe. Its stones, its pyramids, still stand as monuments to a people who understood that their lives were woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this city, this sacred place. Perhaps its secrets, its stories, were never meant to be deciphered by the hands of men. Some believe that the stones of El Mirador still hold the echoes of the past, whispers carried on the wind, lingering in the air, waiting for those who are willing to listen. As we stand at the foot of the pyramid, looking out over the city, the silence deepens, and the stars begin to twinkle faintly above. The jungle breathes around us, the river flows softly in the distance, and the world continues on, as it always has. El Mirador may be lost to history, but its memory remains, etched into the stones, carried on the wind, whispered by the stars. And perhaps, in the quiet of the jungle, beneath the silence of the pyramids, we too are part of that sacred connection. The city may have faded, but the rhythm of the cosmos continues, and in that rhythm we find our place. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The city of El Mirador waits, silently watching, as the jungle continues to reclaim its secrets, its mysteries, and its stories.